Yo, what's good everyone? Today I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite cash game plays for this Week 14 NFL DraftKings main slate, and like I always do here in these videos, I'm going to go position by position, highlighting my favorite cash game plays, and then we'll wrap up the video with some honorable mentions. With that being said, let's dive right into this. Kicking things off here at the quarterback position, I think it's pretty straightforward when it comes to cash game quarterbacks this week. I got my eye on two different guys here in the 6K range. First being Justin Fields of the Chicago Bears, priced at $6,800 this week in a matchup at home against the Detroit Lions, where we would need 20.4 DraftKings points for him to hit 3x value. The rushing upside here with Justin Fields is massive, especially in this matchup against Detroit, who have not been good against mobile quarterbacks this year. We saw it with Lamar Jackson, we saw it with Justin Fields earlier this season, and in fact, Justin Fields has run for over 100 rushing yards in each of his last 3 games against this defense. Plus, on top of that, this defense has not been very good against the pass as of late either. Since Week 8, they've allowed the 4th highest passer rating and the 6th highest yards per attempt. And then the other cash game quarterback that I like here this week is Brock Purdy of the 49ers, priced at $6,500 this week in a matchup at home against the Seattle Seahawks, where we would need 19.5 DraftKings points for him to hit 3x value, a number he's now been able to hit here in 7 of his last 10 games. 70% success rate, I'll absolutely take advantage of that. And I do like this matchup at home here against Seattle, who ranked 26th overall in defensive pass DVOA, and they've allowed 21 DraftKings points per game to the opposing quarterback position. That's the 6th most in the NFL this year, and we know that this 49ers offense is loaded with weapons. We got Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, and George Kittle, and Purdy benefits from playing with every single one of those guys. Now, moving over here to the running backs, and I'm going to highlight 2 running backs that I like in my cash game lineup this week, but I do have an honorable mention that I'll be talking about at the end of this video, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But I'm absolutely willing to spend up for Christian McCaffrey this week of the 49ers, priced at $9,200 this week, again playing the Seattle Seahawks. And yes, I do think we can play Purdy and Christian McCaffrey in the same cash lineup. At this price here, $9,200, we need 27.6 DraftKings points for CMC to hit 3x value. We know the volume is going to be there. This guy ranks 1st in red zone touches, 2nd in snap share, and 2nd in weighted opportunity amongst all running backs in the NFL this year. And this Seattle defense, he beat up on them just 2 games ago. They ranked 19th overall in defensive rush DVOA, while allowing 28.5 DraftKings points per game to running backs this year. That's the 3rd most in the NFL. And then a cheaper running back play that I like this week is Zach Moss of the Indianapolis Colts, priced at $5,900 in a matchup on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals, where we would need 17.7 DraftKings points for him to hit 3x value. Now, in his first game back as the starting running back last week for the Colts, being that Jonathan Taylor was out, he really got back to that same role that he had at the beginning of the season, seeing 21 touches in that game and playing 94% of the snaps. And I do like this matchup on the road here against Cincinnati, who have been abysmal against the running back position all year long, ranking 29th overall in defensive rush DVOA. Now, folks, before we dive into some of these wide receiver plays here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. We're trying to get Slydog Sports here to 4,000 subs by the end of 2023. Probably a lofty goal, but if you haven't subbed yet here today and you can help us out, again, I would truly appreciate that. Now, diving into these wide receivers here, when it comes to my spend-up option this week, I did go back and forth between Keenan Allen and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and for what it's worth, everyone, I might spend up at the running back position, put in Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, and Zach Moss, and then look to spend down here for wide receivers. But I do think that Keenan Allen and Amon-Ra St. Brown are both cash game viable. Let's talk Keenan Allen here, priced at $8,600 this week in a matchup at home against Denver, where we would need 25.8 DraftKings points for him to hit 3x value. Now, amongst all wide receivers this year, Keenan Allen ranks 1st in targets and 11th in red zone targets. Again, another wide receiver where we really don't need to worry about the volume going his way. And I know this Denver Broncos defense has improved as the season has progressed, but I don't want to say they're a great pass defense right now. I mean, we saw Nico Collins blow up against them last week, a career day, where he had 9 catches, 191 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown for 37 DraftKings points. I'm not suggesting that Keenan Allen is going to get us 37 DraftKings points. That's certainly a ceiling for him, but again, the volume should be there, and someone who can definitely hit 3x value in this matchup. The next wide receiver I want want to highlight here is Rashee Rice of the Kansas City Chiefs, priced at $5,400 in a matchup at home against Buffalo, where we would need 16.2 DraftKings points for him to hit 3x value. Now, Rice has clearly become the wide receiver number 1 in this offense, number 2 pass catcher behind Travis Kelce, but if we look at his numbers here, especially over the last 2 weeks, this is the volume I'm chasing in my cash lineup. He's had a 28% target share and a 34% first read share. Really like those numbers, and this Bills defense has not been great against the pass this year, ranking 22nd overall in defensive pass DVOA. And then the last wide receiver that I want to highlight here before we get into my honorable mentions is a value wide receiver play. That's Elijah Moore of the Cleveland Browns, priced at $4,500 this week in a matchup at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars, where we would need 13.5 DraftKings points for him to hit 3x value. Now, there are two big things kind of weighing on the idea of me playing Elijah Moore or not. For starters, who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns this week? I prefer that it's Joe Flacco, because Flacco targeted him 12 times last week for a 27% target share. He also had 50% of the team's air yards and a 39% first read share. Clearly some chemistry there with Moore and Flacco going back to their New York Jet days. But the other thing I'm considering here and keeping an eye out for is whether or not Amari Cooper is going to play. Currently in the concussion protocol, if he doesn't play here this week, I think Elijah Moore is going to be in play either way, whoever ends up starting at the quarterback position. And then I got a couple of tight ends here for you guys, but I actually just got word here as I'm recording that Dalton Schultz is not expected to play for the Houston Texans this week, so I absolutely think that Brevin Jordan is a cash game play once again. I'm going to highlight him as an honorable mention at the end of this video, but if I would have known this before I created the graphics, I probably would have put Brevin Jordan as a main cash game play. With that being said, I'm going to highlight Cole Kmet here at $4,300 for the Chicago Bears at home against the Detroit Lions, where we would need 12.9 DraftKings points for him to hit 3x value. This is a guy who's got an 18% target share and an 18% first read share this season. Not bad considering he's priced here at $4,300, and he has generally played better when Justin Fields is at quarterback. Plus, this Lions defense has not been very good against tight ends this year, allowing 14.2 DraftKings points per game to the position. That's the 6th most in the NFL, while having allowed the 3rd most touchdowns to tight ends as well. And then if I'm really looking to save some money here at the tight end position, on top of Brevin Jordan, I think that Tyler Conklin of the New York Jets is in play, priced at $3,000 this week in a matchup against the Houston Texans. We only need 9 DraftKings points for him to hit 3x value. This is a guy who's got a 14% target share and a 14% first read share. Plus, I love this matchup against this Texans defense, who have not been good against tight ends all year long, allowing 15.5 DraftKings points per game to the position, the 3rd most in the NFL, and having allowed the 4th most receiving yards to tight ends too. And then I got a couple of defenses here, and I am looking to spend up at this position a little more than I typically do when it comes to my cash game lineup, just because I think both of these defenses are in a great spot at home. First being the Baltimore Ravens, priced here at $3,300. I think they could easily be priced at $3,700 considering how well they've played this year at home this week against the Los Angeles Rams. But my preferred play here is the Cleveland Browns at home, priced at $3,000. One of the best defenses in the league. They should easily be priced in the upper 3K range, considering they're playing CJ Beathard this week, who's starting at quarterback for the Jaguars. And then, of course, going to wrap up those videos with those honorable mentions that I've mentioned a handful of times throughout today's video. I have 9 different options for you guys, so let's dive right into this. First, at the running back position, and actually got word here that Taysom Hill has not practiced all week, didn't practice here on Friday too. If he does not play this week, I think I'm going to jam in Alvin Kamara, probably with Christian McCaffrey. Either way, I do think Kamara's in play here in this great matchup against the Carolina Panthers, who have not been able to stop running backs all year long. I got a handful of different wide receivers here. I mentioned Amon-Ra St. Brown earlier. I do think that Michael Pittman Jr. is in play. The volume's been great for him this year, especially with Gardner Minshew. DJ Moore priced at $6,500. I do think he's cash game viable. Plus, you get a little correlation there with him and Justin Fields if you roster Fields at the quarterback position. I don't don't mind Courtland Sutton here. I do like the matchup. He has kind of been touchdown dependent, which is why he wasn't a main cash game play, but I do like the price. I do like the matchup. Think this could be the week where he finally goes above 100 receiving yards. I like Drake London here as a value play, as well as Jackson Smith and Jigba. And then if you're looking to save money at the tight end position, outside of Cole Kmet, outside of Tyler Conklin, I do think that Isaiah Likely and Brevin Jordan are in play too. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great weekend here, folks. Let's win some money on this week 14 main slate. In the meantime, I'm out of here.